Okay, we're gonna call the Monday.
That was unnecessarily mean, right?
2024 is Borough Council meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. First up on our agenda is personal appeals part one. If anyone has a personal appeal, please come up to the podium to sign in. You have 5 minutes for your appeal.
Can you give her address? Yeah, can you give us your address, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you give us your address and your name again, please?
Mary Ann GNR's 148 Crestway, Building 20, Colonial Crest Apartments. As I said, a little emotional. I lost my husband last year. I was questioning Complex why we do not have, I don't know what they are, the grooves in the pavement. Colonial Crest is the only area all over UMass that does not have it. I was a caregiver for 12 years. I struggled extremely hard with a wheelchair. I contacted corporate. Her name was Cheryl. I got the excuse Complex was built in 1961, 62, blah, blah, blah. And I said, UMass was built, what, 1700s? You have it throughout the whole UMass, except Colonial Crest. Until you are in the position to have to push your loved one in a wheelchair, you won't understand. I am now in my own position, by myself, struggling to get up and down. Some of the pavements are this high, some are this high. The one at the office is literally this high. I pushed my husband for his last dinner to UMass Diner. We came down, and right at the bridge that was built, there's some dorkified little thing to get down, which I almost tipped him over. That should not be happening. Why does Colonial Crest have the power to say it's okay? And it's not the ladies in the office, because I know what business is. My husband and I ran a business for 35 years. It is not the ladies in the office. They've had the utmost respect for me and my husband. It is corporate. I contacted corporate. They emailed me, actually back and forth. He promised me he was going to call me today. I got the blah, blah, blah. So I started the blah, blah, blah. And I lied and said I fell, only because I need to prove a point. That is not acceptable. I want them to come home in crutches after surgery, after I'm still in trauma of losing my husband, and go up and down with crutches. That is not fair. And I want it to stop. And it doesn't mean that they get to raise rent increase. This is a law. Why is Colonial Crest allowed to be the only place that you cannot wheel a wheelchair up the pavement?
So I can answer that to a certain degree. Now, I don't know the full circumstances of their original creation, but the ADA compliance would only be applicable to new construction. If they haven't done new construction, they may not be eligible or required to do updated ADA compliance.
I don't believe in that. The whole town, you have it.
But they're a private entity. They're not, the town doesn't have the authority to do that. The borough is
So
not.
you can't, like, I'm not even angry at you guys. I'm just angry in general, because I find it obscene that they are the only area in all of EMAS. Are you kidding me? You know what corporate said to me?
Well,
Her name was
hold
Cheryl,
on, let me,
how she
can I
answered me?
finish? Can I
We're
finish?
not a senior facility. Hello? Hello?
So the ADA was passed in 1992. If they haven't done any major renovations, they may not be subjected to ADA compliance, just like most municipalities. When you start seeing them doing these works on the side of the road, they do them as they're updated because that's
If they fix some of the pavement, aren't they required?
I can't speak to that because they're a private entity, but I can speak to what the municipality would have the authority to do. And
And you
unfortunately,
can't do anything.
the municipality doesn't have the ability unless there was some violation, we wouldn't be able to do it. And again, I'm sorry to speak for council here, but I can give the law on this matter.
If they do a major renovation to a building, we can require ADA improvements to that building. But we
Correct.
can't, so they have multiple buildings over there. So if building 3, I think it was building 3, one of the buildings caught fire,
Had a
right? Major fire, major renovations occur to us, something
What
like
do they need to do it there?
that.
Well, they might have done them interior.
Yeah, we could require. But we couldn't make them do them over at building 5 because building 3 got renovated. Would be the only catch to it.
And that's exactly
what
what I
you
was
think.
getting at. Like, there's just the borough doesn't have the authority to enforce that.
But I also want to say thank you because I'm sure other police have been over to help me get my husband out. And I wanted to say thank you.
Difference with, so she's talking curb cuts. And that- she's
We
talking-
can't, yeah, but we cannot require a private entity to do curb cuts on something that was already there. Is what
Correct.
is what our solicitor is saying. If they did a major renovation,
No, I'm with you.
then it would be a different conversation.
For clarification. First, you talk about the office here on that there. That we cannot put that on our schedule.
On a public sidewalk, we can. Yes.
So that sidewalk's not.
I don't have a map in
Oh.
front of me. I have not, this is the first I've heard this. So I have not had any of those discussions. Up until about halfway through, I wasn't quite sure what she was talking about. So we can look at the public space, but as far as the private on the grounds, no.
And that's pretty, unfortunately, like I said, the private stuff, we have literally no authority unless it's an actual violation. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm
Thank you.
just imagining you talk about the public side.
Rich.
If it's public, there is some,
And I'm thinking, look at putting in the curb cut that we do schedule.
is that on 10? Isn't that,
Again,
isn't that state?
It's right by the
Yeah.
new bridge that was redone, but I have a feeling that's Colonial Crest because I saw them doing the yellow line up there, but even that like little cut there, like literally it's like pathetic. Like I said, I almost dumped my husband. And I just, not you, but I just think it's appalling that they don't have to do it. Like, everybody's gonna, we all get old, we all have things happen. We all might be a caregiver one day. When you're there and you can't get them up the pavement, you want to die.
So the bridge that you were referring to, is that the one right by Wawa? That new bridge? Is that the one that you're referring
On
to?
10th Street there.
On 10th?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think
All right. Okay. All right. I got it.
the footbridge or the bridge.
It was, that bridge, it's right there.
The culvert.
Auto
The
Zone,
culvert.
that one car store.
The South End
The
culvert.
restored bridge on
Yeah.
the road.
There is a
Okay.
thing, but
So
literally
there-
that is,
That's-
that,
That's a state.
I'm sure there was some confusion because there's a footbridge on Cedar Crescent. We
One-
weren't
yeah,
sure if you
that's
were
right.
referring to that. So you're specifically referring to the road part where the culvert.
Yeah, when you said bridge that got done, the newest one is the footbridge. The culvert Yeah, in relative terms, it has been just it's been 5 or 6 years, but yeah. Okay. All right, we'll take a look at that.
Anyone else in the audience with a public
So-
field?
So, Mr. Brown, in terms of the culvert, that is something that we could put on the list.
I'm just,
Yeah.
like you said, there's a lot of questions.
Anyone Anyone online have a public field?
That's
Mute yourself. Hearing none. Does anyone have a community minute report? I have the Laurel Street Playground. We'll have our kind of official, I guess, opening ceremony, September 30th at 6 o'clock. So come out and join everybody out at the playground, council as well, and meet with the public works workers and Parks and Rec and the others. Hearing none. Special presentations. Tonight we have presentation of the Memorial Triangle project.
Good point. Thank you for giving us a great minute tonight. 5 months ago, we approached you and shared our idea and a design for the redesign of the Veterans Memorial Triangle. At that point, we shared a very ambitious goal to have the $120,000 raised and to have the project done for dedication Memorial Day 2025. And we're here tonight to share that we have raised $120,000 in 5 months, and we worked with Still Waters, and the project will be done time for Memorial Day 2025. We had a donor come forward last week who is willing to anything that we're not going to stop actively fundraising because we don't want to take advantage of our donors' generosity. But anything that we're short and we're ready to start the official work, he is going to pay the balance. So we officially raised our $150,000. So now we're asking for whatever we need from you that we can forward. We'd like to start phase 1 of the project, which is the installation of the 6 branch of service flags and the 2 flower pots on the North Street end of the triangle. Last week of October, and have those flags done.
I think we just got
We
to
met
all of
Mr. Petty and we met with Public Works also. There's some other things. There's some trees that are there relocated from Sixth Street. Adding a water closet with garden clubs. They don't have the water in their
I think
buckets.
it's on the agenda.
Their cars take it over. That's all we met. Pepe and Lawrence have said that will be done. In time for us to do our project. So is there anything else that you need from us for us to move forward?
Yes. So if you're looking at me, the answer is no. I have what I need, but that's for you.
Yeah, so this was going to come up as part of my committee report. First of all, regulations. So since these gentlemen are here, rather than waiting for my update, I would like to put a motion out there to officially give approval to the organization to begin the work of their project at Veteran Memorial Triangle.
Second that.
It's already on the
So we have a motion by Mr. Humshad, second by Mr. Lavenberg. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 7 ayes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if it's all right, we'll be starting, like I said, phase 1 last week of October. We'd like to have a little groundbreaking ceremony or invite the press to come out. So, we'll communicate with you.
Thank you guys. Congratulations again. Awesome. Next up on the agenda, is, the police accreditation.
Good evening, Jim Adams, Pennsylvania Chief of Police Association, accreditation coordinator. Thank you for getting me on the agenda and allowing the public presentation, actually. You may ask for a police department. But if I may just go back a little bit in time, for council members, department, I could back when this project started, people on Zoom, audience, understand a little bit of what was in receiving the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency back in 1990, a statewide survey providing what they discovered, which a lot of people, there's a wide disparity in providing professional police services, a lack of providing Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police took it upon themselves up with an accreditation program. They got a grant from PCCD. They put together a team of police department representatives, like officials, attorneys, crime providing, law enforcement. And they came up with an accreditation program, law enforcement, found in 2001. 2002, Maysboro Police Department enrolled officially in the program, means they started working. What they did, they took a look at the standards. I don't know exactly how many placed back then, 25 best practices. But they took a look at the best practices the accreditation presented, and then compared it with their policy manual. And in 2006, they became accredited first time. And in fact, their original accreditation manager and the chief at that time both great. And what they did is show that their policy manual lined up with best practice standards. But also our accreditation program back then continues today for every one of those standards, for every one of those policies. One thing to have best policy manual sitting on your shelf, but nobody follows it. So we have what's called proofs of compliance for every one of those standards. Police department has to show 12 preceding months, 2 proofs of compliance, assessment and monthly assess every 3 years. The process all sign free to assessment. Then spend 2 days on site with your agency house for standards manual, and making sure 3-year period. 1-year cycle within that 6 clients. Fast forward to today. This large certificate represents people reaccredited recently. And a lot of work goes into it. I mentioned we have 105 standards. Just a little bit of a misnomer in that within those standards, best practice, individual best practice, bullets embedded in there. And the reality of it is that certificate represents 370 best practices in your police department shows they comply with, along with. They've been through the process now, 6 reassessments. After 5 clean reassessments, then we recognize them by their status. Pennsylvania, depending on what day you count them, we have about 1,100 district police departments. Currently, we have 172 accredited police departments, Maysboro. So only about 14% of the municipal police departments in Pennsylvania have accredited status. That in and of itself is quite an accomplishment. So this borough is proud of. But now that they actually, we have now premier status, Maysboro makes 33 premier status. 33 agencies in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that have been in the program long enough to find clean reassessments and be granted status. What does this mean? Well, it means that, as I said, your police department has best practices. Also, too, the insurance companies are starting to recognize the value of accreditation because your police chief is one of the key risk managers for all those providing police services. High liability. Our insurance companies now are starting to recognize their smaller police departments uncredited at one time. Accredited police departments distinctly are getting sued less often. The other thing the research has shown by is that when you have some police departments that participate in some of this, the accredited police department, accredited police, yeah, significantly less. Hopefully, you're in the year. I could stand up here and talk about accreditation a long time. Do that, however, anybody has an interest, whether council, anybody has an interest, Google or PAChiefs.org, it's a public facing webpage. There's an accreditation tab there. You can click on it, a lot more information about the program. There's 125 best practices all publicly available. Take a look at it. You have questions. You have resident. Those are my time. So without any further ado, I may I'd like to publicly present things to the police department and this borough. One being the recognition, being accredited for another 3 years, but also just for the very prestigious fact for police. Just only one of 33. But just go here with
Back there. Back there. Go.
Did you use your capital? I could have used it. That's solicitation.
It's 11:50.
We're gonna call a short recess here, through the room at, 6:24.
Did you say pulse?
That's. I'll be back to order at 6:25. Next up on the agenda is accepting September 3rd council meeting minutes. There a motion to accept the minutes? Motion by Mr. Winshide, seconded by Baumgartner. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7. Next up, we have decision on bids. This one is for our banking services. We went through, as you guys are aware, we went through interviewing a bunch of banks. We got the RFP. We had 6. And we had 6 banks. 5, we narrowed them down to 4. We conducted interviews all day, and out of that committee, we're recommending Penn Community Bank. I think that they will represent us really well. Most competitive in a lot of things, and feel really good about the decision. I don't know if anyone else in the committee wants to speak about it.
They were a clear number one choice, and they're based out of Allentown. They're the branch we're dealing with. So you know, let's say I'll place in a form of motion to and community bank who are banking.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Lindbergh, second. Ms. Watts. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, we have communication. We have the Recs and Entertainment Commission. They gave us all of their dates for summer concert to Triangle. That we're going to turn over to staff. That's a constant going, and Parks and Rec will get back at all of that. At least we have the dates. I want to say it's almost at least have the dates for next year's concert. So it's great that they're on top of it. Next up is a event request Triangle dated for ASAP, and it's from Jill Zadowski. I think what we're going to do is, instead of sending this to Parks and Rec, I think we're going to let Jen handle this. We're going to meet a little bit sooner.
Just reading this, isn't this just to prevent going rental?
No, it's the she wants to use the Triangle Park.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. And it's for 25 people. So it's the use of the triangle.
I think it needs to be discussed in committee because I
Is there a specific reason you want to do triangle on it? Going?
we'll discuss it at
Okay,
committee.
that's my committee. We'll
Yeah.
do it on Wednesday.
I did. I think I probably have some of the same questions you
And they're going to be present?
might. Maybe she said she was going to be here this evening.
So that will handle on Wednesday. And the next is St. Matthew's wants to hold their trunk or treat. Do not have a date.
Yes, yeah, they do. It's actually on the second page. It's not in the regular spot. If you look under parking requests, they actually want to have it on
October
trick or treat night. Yeah.
4 to 9.
Yeah.
You want to handle that?
So this is on private property, isn't it just an event that they're holding?
Yeah,
Is it just for informational?
No, the issue is they'd like to close the road.
Okay.
Yeah,
The mayor can do that.
the mayor can do that, or you guys can vote on it. It's tomato. Either or is acceptable.
It's probably easier for her.
I mean,
All I'd say is close the road.
technically speaking, the mayor is correct. It is faster. Probably.
Sends out the approval and that's that.
Mayor, are you saying we can close the road?
Yes.
Okay.
Close the road
You don't need to
ASAP.
vote on this.
Right?
Well, so she didn't get a tie tonight, so she needed something to do.
Oh.
I know. I saw she has several blocks.
We're gonna have her read them.
No, I am not reading any of them.
Yeah, next event I'm paying for an elephant apparently now for that.
All right.
You showed on the budget you're racking up minutes, Mr. Solicitor.
Fair enough.
Information funds.
You have it right.
Next up is Borough Engineers Report. Have none. Now it's your time to speak, sir. Solicitor's report.
No report.
Thank you.
Progress.
Under unfinished business part one, have two items for official action. Both of these are second readings of ordinance.
Except in order for you to go down the road of LERTA, you need to pull it off the table.
Correct.
So you would need to vote to pull it off the table
Because it was
before you
tabled
can,
last time.
before you can move forward to discuss.
And yeah, you beat me to it. So
Is there a motion to pull ordinance 1267 off of the table? A motion by Mr. Anders. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Brown. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Yeah, one
Mr. Lindbergh.
As you know, I've been opposed to this for this specific property, but with the changes that were made and the way it's set up, I think that the borough can benefit from this down the road. We have properties that come decrepit and can be changed into something productive in the borough. So I will support this. That being said.
So for now, you're just voting to take it off the table,
to take it off the
so
table.
so that you can vote on it again.
Well, then I don't have to say
So you're supporting taking it off the table.
Brent's very in favor of supporting taking it off the table.
although he wasn't in the past.
If someone wants to join the meeting.
Just make sure that you get.
That's true.
I just have one point to add to this, and it's off the table. Or was the vote? We didn't do the vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7 ayes.
Per everybody's request, if you take a look at the very first page, there was a slight modification to add that this will sunset within 5 years from today's date. So when you pass that, that will be going forward.
And that will be every 5.
You will have to repass it every 5 years, but as of now, this will sunset within 5 years of today's date.
So is there any way that actually, let's discuss it once it's up in the discussion. So do I have a motion to ordinance 1267, ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending chapter 24, code of the Borough of Emmaus by adding part 6, local economic revitalization tax assistance, providing for real estate tax exemption, new construction, improvements to deteriorated property pursuant to the Pennsylvania Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act, establishing standards and qualifications for obtaining such exemption. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Anders. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hunshide. Discussion? So my discussion would be, if this goes into effect for them and
So first of all, you can't. This is not about a single property. So before we keep talking about that property, they actually have to go through an entire process. They have to fill out. They have to go through an application process. There's an approval process for them. So this is conceptually
we'll talk
across
theory.
the board,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking
And
theory.
we'll talk theory. If we talk theory, if it takes a year to be established for somebody that would be seeking this, and say they get, council would agree on 5 years, it could actually expire before their 5th year.
So my understanding, and the case law is not.
So you understand my question, right?
I do. If they apply in year 4 and it takes a year to get approval, that's the question. And it will push you past that 5-year deadline.
Yes, sir.
Almost like a zoning, like somebody would change a zoning ordinance, but they get it in right before the deadline.
Yes.
That is my understanding is now there's no specific case law on LERTA because it's never done that way because they're usually not there's not a ton of sunsetting in these, but my understanding is it's treated as a property right. So if they get the application in time before the 5-year deadline would occur and it was not approved, that application would still be operating going forward.
Get a premature
But that's not,
expiration.
yeah. So I don't think that's what his question was, but
No.
that
It
does
is.
clarify that.
Yeah.
I think the question is if they get approved in year 4,
Mhm.
it expires in year 5.
Yeah,
They get 5 full.
they get
years
5.
of
You've
level
approved their tax status. That is
Yes,
correct.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about the deadline of the actual sunset, but no, that is correct. Once they are approved,
Perfect.
that is an ordinance. That is governed by that rule. They cannot have it taken away.
Okay.
But a new application, if this does not get reestablished after 5 years, If that ordinance is not in effect, they cannot get it.
Any other discussion?
Just for Shane to put it on the calendar for 5 years, so we don't.
My calendar goes a day at a time.
He'll send you a reminder.
He will. Yeah, he'll send me a reminder.
Put it in your phone, Brent.
Okay.
I just had a question under the exemptions, which is subsection -605. So D says the length of the schedule for taxes shall not exceed 10 years.
Yes,
But we have a 5-year schedule.
that's statutory. It comes from the actual statute says it can't be more than 10 years. It's just a recitation of that. I think we actually asked that last time before we came to the 5, but the answer is it's required to be in there. That's language directly from the Taxing Act.
And it would just be up to us, like,
Correct.
number of years.
Correct. You could amend this to up to 10 years. Remember, that was the original discussion, but there's a specific limiting statement within the Taxing Act that requires me to say it cannot exceed 10 years.
If you remember, we were discussing 3, 4, 5 years. We were at that time frame and we went with 5 years.
But Ms. Baumgartner asked that question before, and I think I gave you the same answer, and I hope to God I did. But I think that it's a limitation within the statute.
All right, any further discussion? This is a roll call vote. Ms. Watt?
Aye.
Mr. Enders? Aye. Mr. Lavenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Munchak?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Aye. Ms. Baumgartner?
Aye.
Mr. Valiant? Aye. Nice. All right, next up is ordinance 1270, the ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending chapter 50, subsection 602.3.a, the Emmaus Borough Code, amending the residential disabled parking sign, sign a permanent parking spot on public street located in front of 224 Adrian Street in the Borough of Emmaus. This is our second reading. Yes, would someone like to put that? Mr. Ladenberg, is there a second? Mr. Anders? Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, Mr. Roll call vote. Mr. Anchak? Aye. Mr. Brown? Aye. Ms. Baumgartner?
Aye.
Ms. Watt?
Aye.
Mr. Anders? Aye. Mr. Ladenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Valiant? Aye. Nice. Thank you. Under new business, we have ordinance 1271. This is an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending chapter 15, subsection 602.3.a, the Emmaus Borough Code, adding residential disabled parking sign and assigning permitted parking space in public street located in front of 221 Bridge Street, Borough of Emmaus. Someone like to make a motion?
So,
Mr. Ladenberg, second. Ms. Baumgartner, is there any discussion on this?
Yes. Not necessarily about the Ridge Street piece, but it was brought up at our public safety committee. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has changed the number of years that a disabled permit is granted. They, by law, now have to change them every 5 years, which means every 5 years, we would be amending that particular spot based on the way that we have it written. And the question was, could we change maybe the way the permit is written? Maybe we do a different kind of permit. Maybe we base it off of vehicle registration, something different than every 5 years they're going to have to pay us again to change that placard out. And every 5 years we have to advertise. Every 5 years we have to deal with it. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Remember, we looked at this
Yeah.
once before, and the answer is that statutorily we're required to do that.
Well, if it changes because we base our permit on it, what if I did my own internal permitting system, right? So your permit number is ABCD 123 rather than what their handicap placard would read. You know what I'm saying? Like a house permit has.
It's interesting, and I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the answer. I will look into it for you and get you an answer for next meeting. But that I don't. I mean, it sounds like a practical, but I've never. The odd part is I've never seen it done that. Even like the city of Allentown.
We're pioneers in a lot of things.
Well, but as Mr. Valiant pointed out, my bill, my
No,
bill,
it's not a good thing.
no,
It's not a good thing.
no, hold on. Let me finish, Councilman Brown. As Mr. Valiant pointed out, when you're pioneering things like zoning ordinance changes, that's when your bill goes up. So you don't want to be
Well,
pioneers
when
ever.
I say pioneer, I'm not necessarily saying it's great pioneering.
No, but the answer is I've never seen it, but at least let me look at it and
Okay.
tell you if it's legally sound what you're doing, because it theoretically sounds like something you could do, but I don't know why I wouldn't have seen it by now.
It's not necessarily a bad thing to revisit, especially that kind of issue every 5 years. It's really not, but it was still a question that public safety had brought up. And actually, when I say public safety, I looked at the chairwoman who pointed at the mayor because that's who brought it up. It was the mayor's fault.
But it's
Based on the vehicle registration.
no, and you raise a point that I don't know the answer to off the top of my head, but I know it's not done that way in other municipalities. So there probably is a reason for it, but I
Well,
don't.
One of the reasons
Again,
is
we
it
don't want to be
does-
pioneers.
It does give us the opportunity to revisit that person and not to sound, black-hearted, but are they still
Disabled.
Are they still disabled? Are they still alive? Are they still living there, etc.? So it does give us. I mean, that is the one thing that it does do is it forces us to look at that because there have been instances over the years before we started doing the permitting where somebody tells us like, hey, they passed away 4 years ago. We
Yeah.
still have the handicapped parking spot out there.
Like I said, I will look into it, but I'm pretty sure there's a reason why it's not done that way. But I will get you an answer by the next meeting. It's 2 weeks. I'll get your answer.
My only question is if we're pioneers, who gets the coonskin cap? David Crockett.
Obviously, Shane would
Shane
look
gets
the best wearing the coon.
I think Brent looks better when we wear it at his cabin.
I think the mayor should wear it.
Yeah.
Be all over town.
Madam Mayor, this was your idea. You should wear,
Yeah,
you should wear the Davy Crockett hat.
Bring it on.
Okay, so
Gotta-
just kind of
While riding a
you have
camel.
you have a motion.
Yep. All right, so this is a roll call vote. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none. Ms. Watt?
Aye.
Mr. Anders? Aye. Mr. Lavenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Sunshine? Aye. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Bumgarner?
Aye.
Mr. Valiant? Aye. Thank you for that. Unfinished business part 2, we have none. Does anyone have an item that is on the agenda they would like to put forward? Hearing none. Madam Mayor's report.
Thank you. As you can see, I was quite busy writing proclamations. So you have proclamation 2067, which is in recognition of the Aspen Remembrance Gardens 20th anniversary. I was there for their celebrations on very nice event. It's a beautiful day. So they have celebrated 20 years now. We also have proclamation 2062, which is in recognition of Suicide Prevention Month, which is the month of September. And September 10th, National Suicide Awareness Prevention Day. Also, you have Proclamation 2024-603, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October. And if at all possible, to pink or something at each meeting in October to show solidarity. It's pretty cool.
I can't see pink. Remember?
Your wife can see pink. You can't. Pink.
I will have my wife pick out an outfit for you, Madam Mayor.
So you
Stop
have-
laughing at me, Councilman Brown. That's very hurtful.
Also, you have Proclamation 2024-604, which is in reference to Fire Prevention Week, which is October 6th through the 12th. This year's theme is Fire Prevention Week theme is smoke alarms, make them work for you. Also, in your iPad this evening, have or second quarter. I'll report progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Next up is committee reports, and we're going to start out with Public Works. Mr. Anders.
Thanks. Our next meeting.
Thank you. Next up is Parks and Recreation, Mr. Honshat. Oh, no, sorry. Health, Sanitation, and Codes, Mr. Brown, sorry.
Nothing to report on. Zoning is using forward. Which means Tuesdays. So. Here. There's nothing.
Progress.
Progress.
I'll finish it.
Yeah.
Next up, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. President. The two things I had to report on have already been addressed. The approval for Veterans Memorial Triangle Park and the park celebration. So I will report that our next meeting is this coming Thursday, September 25. I will be here in person.
Thank you. Next up, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing for official action. We have a wonderful Amaze Police Department to celebrate tonight. And we have wonderful emergency services. We have our notes there from our last meeting, and our next meeting will be October 9th at 9 at Borough.
Thank you. Next up, General Administration, Mr. Lindberg.
I have nothing to report this evening, but I do want to abstain with our meeting on Wednesday and discussing budget issues or items, I should say. Do you want us to be in person or still do so?
That's your preference. Let's see.
There's nothing you have to actually show us to do it on Zoom.
Yeah, I don't think you need to come in person. It's not under Gen Ed part. I don't think it's.
So our meeting is this Wednesday at 9 a.m. Before do it on Zoom.
Thank you. Next up is Budget and Finance. We have two official action items tonight. One is to adopt MMO. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about a little bit the MMO.
Yeah,
sure. So for those of you that have not been on council before, the minimum municipal obligation is something for your pension that you're required to adopt by law. Every year by the end of September, you are required to adopt it. This is the amount of money that is required to go into the pension plan based on actuarial studies, based on performance of the budget, based on risk management. Those are all things that are included. And so this year, you see in your iPads, I put some notes in there for you. The MMO for the police department will be $699,725.59. That's an increase of $45,132.57 from last year. Under the non-uniformed plan, the MMO is $263,352.19. That's a decrease from last year's MMO to decrease by $21,454.60. So your net increase in MMO next year is $23,677.97. That's really not bad considering the market performance last year was not what was expected. I think the important thing to take note is because of the way that we renegotiated union contracts and we changed that defined benefit pension for non-uniformed employees, now that you're seeing a lot of new faces in your departments, full-time employees in public works, clerical, even on the ambulance side, you're starting to see the benefits of that change in your MMO, because that number used to be close to $700,000. And so you've seen that dropping, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we changed the way that pension is structured. You cannot, and you never will, be able to change the structure of the police pension. That is governed under the law, the way that is designed. So you'll never be able to do a 401A for new police officers. It's a defined benefit. They require that. It's based on the Social Security laws and things like that. But you can definitely see the financial benefit of changing what we did. So we need a motion for you to approve the police MMO and the non-uniformed MMO.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Baumgartner. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none.
I'll just point out, there's been years in the past where it's been over $100,000. So, it's great news for the people that have it. I believe one year we might even make this $250,000. I'm not sure.
We did. That was the year that it went down. Like the whole market went down by
So
20%.
this is great news. Just so you know, it could have been a lot worse.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7 ayes. Attached is our significant revenue and expenses for the first half of September.
We need the financial statement.
And then we were our auditing. Our auditors went through and did our independent audit to vote to accept that. Buddy, go ahead, Mr. Lindbergh.
Make a motion that we got it.
Motion by Mr. Lindbergh, is there a second? Second. By Mr. Hownshad, discussion. Does everybody understand, especially with the new members of council, what basically a checks and balance system to make sure that we're doing our books internally properly and all of that kind of stuff for record keeping and balances. They audit different accounts and stuff like that. So this is, I want to say maybe what the third year that these guys, this firm,
Yeah, I think it's the fourth year.
and the report typically has been coming back like this and doing a good job at what we need to be doing.
Yeah, the financial statement came back clean. I still would, I'm still asking them to come meet with the Budget and Finance Committee to go through whatever questions you may have, about process, about statements look like. I still think that's a good practice to do, but overall the audit looks good.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes. Next up is resolution 2024-22. It's our bill list. Bill list is as follows. We have $776,856.15 of bills. $192,884.01 for payroll 18. With that is $61,822.09 for payroll taxes for a grand total of $1,031,593.00 done the 16th of September. Motion? Mr. Lindbergh, second. Second. Mr. Hownshad, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're going to find our meeting minutes are attached in most of our last meeting. We're doing review of the banks. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, October 2nd, 11 a.m. That I'll report progress. Sure.
On the what was the upgrades? Right.
So they have gutted most of that building. They've gutted most of that building
The water leaks.
because of water leaks, because of heating issues. So they've continued to building. That's planned for in the budgets. you'll see a presentation during budget for the rest of that renovation. As the entire employee staff has formed a committee to continue with that process.
Next up is community relations, planning and development. SWAT.
I think mentioned it, 5 year department heads.
Thank you. We do not have any boards or commissions. Notes, personal appeals part 2. Beginning with the audit, is there anyone online?
It's Jonathan.
You have a personal appeal. Yeah. Very nice. For our managers.
So Richard DeFiore has completed his final tasks to move up to firefighter specialist. So effective immediately, we will be bumping him up in pay grade. It's exciting to know that we continue to see our firefighters working to reach that professional level within the department. So Richard has been working very hard to kind of climb up through those pay grades. So I think that really has worked for us in terms of how that's broken out from firefighter 1 to 2 to the different specialist positions, as it gives them, I think, an incentive to continue their training and to get the different certifications. So congratulations to Richard. As you're aware, budget is in full swing. If you look in my office, it once again looks like the bomb went off. There's a lot of requests, a lot of things to kind of dig through for me. We're going to give you access to the software a week or two before I give you the budget draft, the official budget draft and the budget message. So that way you can kind of start digging in and looking at the attachments. By no means is that the actual draft. If I give you access 2 weeks prior, that's not the draft. Its numbers are going to change, things are going to change. But that third Monday in October is when that draft really is live. But what it's going to give you an opportunity to do is start prepping a little earlier, because as you know, 4 days after I give that to you, we have our budget workshop and all the department managers do their presentations. And a lot of times that's the first time you're seeing or hearing the stuff from them. So it'll at least give you an opportunity to look at the attachments, some of the things that they're looking at in capital, to kind of give you at least a little bit of a heads up of what they're doing. You'll still get the old 200 pager from me and all that good stuff that you'll be able to use as your tool. But I would tell you, please start, if you haven't already, do your training on the software. If you have any questions, come see me, and we'll show you how to access and how to use it. It's really not difficult. The training is good step by step. But if you really want to skip it and just get the 5-minute version, how do I look at this thing? I can do that for you as well. Other than that, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will report progress.
Thank you. Next up, is President's business. I have none. Got no executive session tonight. Motion for adjournment. Strat. Second. Mr. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes. Meeting adjourned at 7 o'clock.